Welcome to the second Okon Bros podcast.
How'd you sleep last night?
Not good. I have a little bit of a cold.
A little bit of cold?
A little bit of a cold.
Yeah.
Not bad, though. I have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they bring home every single
That'll do it.
bug.
That's the reason why Sharon and I didn't have a third, because I was sick the entire time that my children were sick. If my children brought home a virus, I have an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
I have an 11-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl. She's going to be 7 next month. And we wanted 3. We talked about it before we got married and everything. And the amount of sickness that I had like an 8-year sinus infection until like it's gotten much better. Like my daughter's now in 2nd grade and like she's less sick now, but my son just graduated 5th grade in June and he had the adenovirus.
Well, he got that from my son, Zachary.
No, he didn't.
Zachary forgot it first. And then
You're
we had
right.
Zachary's birthday party.
You're right.
And they were playing together.
Yes. In a ball pit.
And then they had like this adenovirus, which is basically like the flu, but without the flu. And the kid's just exhausted, doesn't want to eat, and just lies on the couch all day long.
I was supposed to go to LA with you. We had a party to go to.
Right.
And, you know, that's one thing. Like if our children have a sore throat or something,
right,
we'll still go. But when your son's tonsils.
Just checking everything.
Yeah, it's fine. It looks good.
Because we don't have Anthony here today.
Anthony's very busy in New York, so he couldn't be here today. Anyway, his tonsils were literally touching each other. He was running 103 fever for the entire week. So like the sinus infections got less, but like when they get sick as they're older, man, it's like crippling to them.
So while we're talking about children, why don't we talk about how we're grooming them to...
Or how we were groomed,
how we were groomed, and how we're grooming them to come work at BLS.
Absolutely.
So it's from the day, at least I know I was born.
From the day he was born,
he was trouble.
For those Rocky Horror fans out there.
So from the day we were born, we were always groomed to come work at BLS. Like it wasn't ever a question.
I wanted to be a movie director. That was my pipe dream.
Right.
But no, I knew I was going to end up here. I wanted to be a movie director, and it turned out I still am living that somewhat of a dream to write and be part of another industry other than what we're doing. But no, I always knew I was going to be here.
Right. We still had to get an education, but you know, we want
that was the criteria for mom and dad.
Right.
You can't come in here without an education.
However, I absolutely despise school. I know my nephew takes after me. Your son
hates with a capital H.
Right.
And we keep telling him at school, I got to tell you something real quick. I don't want to get off the subject too much. They don't give homework today.
Yeah, I know. We just learned that yesterday. It was open school night.
I kind of like told Alex is my son, you're going to have mountains of homework come the fall. I told him all summer. And he's like, no, I can't do this. It's fine. I got through it. Mommy got through it. You're fine. What happens the first week? He's like, I had a sheet of math and I did it at lunch. I'm like, where's the book report? Where's everything? He's like, they're not giving homework.
We spoke to Zachary's kindergarten teacher and they said, we want to do all the learning in school. And when the child gets home, they should relax and hang out with mommy and daddy and play.
They're 30 years too late.
Yep.
They're 30 years too late. The school finally caught up. It's finally the younger generation's now running the education system. Yep. And this is how it should have been from day one.
Right. Yeah. So while we were big on education, we're definitely bigger on real world education. And growing up with our parents, every day was an education on the company. At the dinner table, we would talk about what was going on during the day. My parents would throw parties in Los Angeles, and we were invited, and we went.
Just dispatching. Right.
Yeah,
or just taking reservations.
During the summertime, we would,
right.
Yeah, we would sit in dispatch in LA or in New York. Right. And we were soaking it all in.
And then we'd have to go back to school and learn about chemistry. And it's like, I understand why school exists, but there's nothing that we're learning there.
If you're going to go to school, get a practical degree that can give you a license for something.
My son asked me the other day. Right. My daughter asked me. She's smart as a whip. She says, "Why am I learning this?" And I didn't have an answer for her. I don't know why she's learning about geography. Well, I guess it is important.
Kids have to be well-rounded. You
Yeah?
can't, you know.
Give me one fact from ninth grade earth science. One fact. Exactly.
You're
That's my point.
asking the wrong guy.
Look,
Because for the record, I barely passed. I barely passed school, and
I cheated.
Yeah.
I cheated in school. I didn't care about it enough. I cared about school, but I had a network because I couldn't study. I couldn't retain the information. It was boring to me. Hang on
Talk
one
about
second.
the business that you started in school.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But in order to pass, I still had to pass. That mom and dad's requirements were just pass. Go to school, show up, be respectful, and just pass. I didn't have to get A's. I didn't have to get B's.
through it.
Just get through it. So in order to get through it, I used to have these friends that I would sit next to, and I would buy them lunch and say, do me a favor, lift up your arm during the test, or like, move your arm to the side or something so I could take a look. And I don't know if you could see it like this, but I would cover my eyes like this and I would look to the side.
Right.
And I would pass. It was 1 year. This is really funny. Linus, Fan or Fang or something. Great kid. Shout out to Linus. I haven't seen him in 30 something years, but I was in 7th grade math with him, and he let me cheat off of every test. And this kid was brilliant. And I'm getting straight A's in math. And I had to calm down a little bit. I had to show, like, I was like Dash in the final race of The Incredibles, where like I had to slow down and say, all right, I'll get a B. Because if this kid's not in my next class and I'm failing every single test, they know something would have been wrong.
Right.
So I wrote a book called The University.
Right.
And The University is about...
By Michael Samuels.
Big plug for the book, The University. And it's about education. And although we believe education is very, very important, if you follow your dreams, education is kind of not needed in the school setting. Right. Now, I'm going to give you like a few names. Walt Disney, Abe Lincoln,
Steve Jobs,
Johnny Depp, Nicolas Cage, John Travolta, a lot of different actors. I think Tom Cruise too. None of them graduated high school. And what they did, Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson, he went and he followed his dreams to become a movie director.
These are brilliant people.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're worth, I just checked the other day. I don't know why I checked, but Peter Jackson's worth, I think, like $400 million.
Right.
It's incredible.
Right. All without an education.
All without a high school education.
You have to follow your dream.
Right.
We're not going to say who Michael spoke to, but Michael spoke to one of the biggest directors of all time when he was a kid, because we used to answer the phones in the kitchen.
That's right.
So Michael would say, "Hi, BLS, how can I help you?"
Yeah.
I
was 6 years old.
And that director said, "Who's this?" And Michael would say, "I want to be a director when I grow up." And
yeah.
Michael, what did they say?
This director, who directed some of the greatest films in the history of cinema.
And we're not going to reveal who.
We won't, because we all signed confidentiality agreements at BLS. He said, "Kid, drop out of school, come to LA." And he's like, "Make movies."
Yep.
And that was it.
Yep.
And I didn't do that because my mom wouldn't let me, especially when I was 6 years old. But it really is, when you have a passion for something, you kind of have to go to school because it's the law. I mean, that's why I tell my kids. I told my son, Alex is going to listen to this. He's like, "It's not the law." I think it is the law, because he's like, "Maybe I don't have to go to school." I'm like, no, Alex, it's the law.
You got to listen. Fundamentals, read, write, math. Obviously, those things you take for granted, but those you will learn when you're, in kindergarten, first grade.
Sure.
Those are when you learn those skills, and that stays with you for the rest of your life.
I still sign my M like my second grade teacher taught me to.
After that, for me,
no, I know you.
I'm not into it.
So I graduated high school, graduated Syosset High School, class of 1996, and then I went to CW Post and I got an English degree. And my mom and dad wanted me to have a practical application in case that our parents were always.
We're preppers, so we have backup plans.
So they wanted me to get an education degree. So I got an English major and I got a minor in education, which was great because there was a lot of girls in education and allowed me to date and learn from girls. Right, have fun. So I did that. I graduated in 3.5 years from CW Post, and I was ready to come to the business. My parents like, "No, you have to become a lawyer," and that was torture. So I have a photographic memory, which is sometimes a blessing and a curse, and they wanted me to run their legal department. So I took my LSATs, and I think I purposely failed the LSATs because
Did you take it twice?
I took it like 6 times.
Yeah.
And they kept putting me in Kaplan courses, and take it again, because they really wanted me to go to a local school. Dad's mantra was, get a degree. You don't have to become a lawyer. You just have to know general basics. He's like, I'll buy you a law firm. And it was I did not.
Yeah, no. Like once we were
I
done
fought
with
them
school,
tooth and nail. Right. Well,
Right.
no, I wasn't done. So they go,
No.
you're still not coming into the business if you don't you're not coming with an English education degree. You have the backup degree, but now you need something to do for the company. So I went to Hofstra. I graduated in 3.5 years from CW Post. I went to Hofstra for 1 year. I got a 2-year degree in 1 year in finance. And that was another undergraduate degree. And then I went back to CW Post and I got my master's in business. And that was great. I really enjoyed getting my master's because I always say always lead it up to the final class, which was
let up.
Let up. What did I say?
Lead it up. Let up.
Let up.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my master's education
Right.
talking. My English education talking.
See, and I only got an associate's in college because I just
And he's
wanted out, and
correcting me.
my parents respected that, and they're just like, all right, come on into the business.
Well, they were done with you.
Yeah,
They were done.
I gave up way too much of a fight. I kicked and screamed.
I remember. You gave yourself mono.
Yeah,
Mono's the kissing disease. You didn't kiss any girls, but you still got mono.
exactly.
I'll never forget. I walked into.
I kicked and screamed the minute I could just come work here. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And the first project that I took on was
The
doing
brochure?
the website.
Well, yeah. The first project I took on was the brochure.
Right. I took on the website, and that's been a 20-year project. Every single day we update it. Every single day we enhance it. And yeah, that was my first project, and I absolutely love it.
You still do.
But from then on, just the education didn't. Well, I'm sure a lot of it did carry over. I learned so much more here from mom, dad, all the people that work for us, our clients. It's an amazing experience.
What was one of the most life-defining lessons at BLS for you? I could tell you mine, and I don't want to forget what it is. Biting off more than you could chew. That was mine. Remind me to say that when you answer.
One of the most
question.
important things that I learned in business, and when you're going out to see clients, and I didn't go out to see clients a lot up until maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, and when I started doing it more. And I would go, and Michael and my mom had this amazing personality and this amazing shtick. And
we still do.
And yeah, and they could come out and hold court. They can hold a room. And I realized, I'm like,
you had the personality of Cheese Whiz.
Yeah,
I
realized that I had to come out with something, and I had to come out with a shtick. And whatever you have to go out and talk about, you have to have an arsenal of things to say.
100%.
You have to talk about whatever you know the most about.
The point of selling is to not sell.
Exactly.
And I learned that from mom. I learned that from Marilyn.
Yep.
Marilyn comes in. She wants to talk about how she cooks meatballs. And let me tell you something.
Marilyn's
if you want to
meatballs.
live, Marilyn has to make you her sausage and peppers and meatballs because we don't eat carbs.
We're gonna have Marilyn on
eventually.
Once we get more cameras. We were
Yes.
having some technical difficulties before starting this, but
I would have given up, but Eric and Anthony persisted, and we're finally up and
Yeah,
running
I was
now.
bothering Anthony. I just want to say for the record, I don't think it's coincidence because we believe in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
The minute we started our podcast, the day our podcast went live, we had our record reservation day of the amount of reservations that we took in. And then not only that, this week has just been day after day of record of number of rides dispatched.
Mm-hmm.
Been absolutely phenomenal.
That's all because of the podcast, because 80 people saw the first episode.
Yeah.
So we have 80 more reservations because... No, that's
but
not.
It's not a coincidence. I think the more we put ourselves out there, and the more that we put out good vibes, good vibrations,
100%. That's the key, though, Eric. Is that your words are everything. That if you're going to put out, it's dead, it's terrible, it sucks, I hate this. Oh my God, they're so annoying.
That's going to come right back to you.
That shit's like a boomerang.
Yep.
And that's what Write It Down, Make It Happen by I forgot her name, but that was a great book. Write It Down, Make It Happen. People's words, you have 60,000 thoughts a day. That's a fact. If you say negative shit for most of the day, it just manifests for you. And it's hard to think good, but it is easy.
But you know what? I want to say it's hard at the beginning, and then all of a sudden, once you recognize, and then you start seeing results about changing your thoughts, amazing things happen.
21 days to form a habit. This is over my desk. 21 days to form a habit, 90 days to make it a lifestyle.
Yep.
And if you do something for 21 days, it will become a habit of yours to wake up and meditate. I started meditating again. And you can't believe the stuff that happens in your life when you meditate.
I don't personally meditate.
Try it.
Maybe I do.
Download
Maybe
one of
I
the
do it
apps.
in some form.
No. Download an app. I have I forgot the name of the app. It's wonderful. And hold on one second. It's called Mindfulness.
Right.
Okay. Download Mindfulness and just do 10 minutes. You can't believe how impossible it is to meditate. My mind is going, did I pay that bill? Oh man, did I call that person back? I wonder who's going to email me today. Did I finish that RFP? Blah, blah, blah. And you go, no, I have to focus on breathing in and breathing out. And it calms you.
Honestly, I'll take the opposite side coin of that. I'm not into it.
Yeah.
I don't have patience to do that. I like having thoughts. I like going through my day and going through what I have to do tomorrow constantly. And I guess it's just my comfort zone.
That's fine.
But to each their own.
I am willing to try anything.
Sure.
If it means that, and I've tried meditating in the past, and I feel that it got me to a certain level in my writing career, that I was meditating a lot when I was writing. And I feel like all these great ideas were flowing into me. And I was only doing it for 10 minutes a day, and I was doing it laying down. If I was doing it before bed and I did it for 10 minutes, I was asleep in 3 minutes. I mean, when I hit the pillow, I'm out. But waking up, I always found it funny. It's like, I just slept 7.5 hours. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to close my eyes again. You know, it's like you just slept. Why are you meditating? Something about it, this magical thing happens. I mean, if you could do something for a week.
I guess I can try. But honestly, I have no interest in doing it.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I have no interest in.
Maybe it's going to make you less nuts.
I'm not nuts.
You're crazy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know, yeah, absolutely. If you feel that it doesn't, if you don't need help from it, then there's nothing that I can say that's going to allow it to help you. But maybe there is something in your life that you don't even realize that you're reacting to.
Very well could be.
Yeah.
You know, what I find fun to do with my mind is we'll have a problem or a predicament or something that needs a solution. And I will sit down, and it's usually while I'm driving or showering, when you're just doing where you're doing something where you don't have to necessarily concentrate fully on it. And I say in my head, you're going to find a solution right now. The solution is going to happen.
That's you're talking to your subconscious.
Right. And you know that conference call that we had, I called you guys at 9:00 last night and 2 nights ago. And I said, I have an idea on how to fix this problem. And we're like, okay, you know, let's call lawyers. Let's go and find out. And we're going down that rabbit hole, and it's looking like it's a good solution. That happened because I sat down, I hunkered down, and I said, what's the solution? And then it pops in.
That's the subconscious.
Right.
That's where you have to make your you have to talk to your subconscious like a genie, and you have to say, give me the answer to, I want to implement this, or I want to implement that. And literally, it could take a year.
Yep.
It could take 5 minutes. If I need to write a story, I ask my subconscious for it, and it will give me that story, whether it's in a dream or an inspiration. I'm sure someone scientific can tell me, no, it's a brain cell that's meeting with another brain cell, and it's coming out with that idea. No one knows where consciousness comes from. I mean, that's a whole other podcast that we can talk about. But when it comes to the lessons that you learned here, my biggest lesson is biting off more than you can chew. When I was in, I think it was like 6th grade, I came back from school one day, and Mom and Dad had pizza for us, and I came in, and I was ravenously hungry. Like I had like a light lunch. I had like a banana with like a bologna.
Going through a growth spurt.
Yeah, going through a growth spurt, exactly. Like my kids are going through now. And I took a bite of pizza, and I was eating it, and then I took more bites, and I took more bites.
And it was really cheesy pizza.
It was cheesy.
Like hot.
It was Ramo's, right?
Ramo's Pizza, Plainview.
Shout out, Hicksville, I think. Hicksville. Big shout out to Ramo's Pizza in Hicksville. We don't eat it anymore.
Plainview or Hicksville, I don't know.
Yeah, Woodbury.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay.
Go ahead.
I digress. I took a bite of this pizza, and it was magic. And I kept eating it and eating it and eating it. And Mom and Dad said, slow down, slow down, slow down. And I choked. First time in my life I've ever choked on food.
You took out a hunk of cheese.
I coughed it up myself.
Right.
I mean, I didn't give myself the Heimlich maneuver or anything, but I had too much food in my mouth. I took it out. I swear to God, it was a handful of cheese. And that lesson till today, Mom still throws that lesson in my face. If you bite off more than you can chew, you're going to choke.
Yep. And that's, we have a lot of plans at BLS. We have a lot of plans with our lives. But if we're going to go spend too quickly, or we're going to take on more than we can handle,
grow too quickly,
or we're going to grow too quickly, you can mess it all up. And we have to be careful. And
the trick is not to get new. The trick is to keep what you have, right. and to keep what you have happy.
Well, yeah, obviously it's all about relationship management, and I think everyone focuses a lot on new sales. And while that's important,
it's not everything.
It's not everything. Relationship management and keeping the people that are using you happy, keeping your employees happy. I look at hiring and getting new sales as the same exact thing. You have to sell yourself. You have to sell your company to your potential hire, to the potential client that wants to use you. It's all about the long game of saying, we have to keep these two groups of people happy.
Absolutely.
We have to, employees, their happiness creates the energy of which our company runs, and likewise for our clients. So if our job is to keep those two groups of people happy, we have to work at that every single day. You can't set it and forget it.
I agree. And the idea of just more sales, growth is good. Growth is really good.
Don't get us wrong.
Growth is incredible. We actually dabbled in hiring 2 salespeople this past year.
Yeah, last year we hired our first 2 salespeople. Believe it or not,
we've actually had salespeople in the past, but it did not work out.
We didn't commit. We didn't commit fully. We weren't able to commit fully. But we hired our first 2 salespeople outside of we would always, the family would sell, and the high-ranking officials in the companies would come and sell, and we got accounts, but we never had a salespeople,
a sales force,
and
right.
we're building that now, and it's exciting, and we're seeing results,
right?
And it's amazing.
But we're not chomping at the bit for every salesperson that walks through this door and says, "I want a job with you," or anyone that reaches out on LinkedIn saying, "I want to, I can bring you this, and I can bring you that."
I don't want to dilute what each person that we hired is doing.
Right.
That's not fair.
It's not fair.
We don't,
no.
It doesn't need to be a competition.
We have someone in New York, we have someone in LA, and their accounts still cross over.
Right.
That LA person will have someone in New York, and that New York person is going to have someone in LA, and they're going to say, well, that's my account.
One person is running east, one person is running west, but as you know, the world is very small. So
it's a small world after all.
Those things overlap a lot.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting dynamic of, listen, guys, we're all on the same team. Let's work together. Let's get through this. And let's make the best decision for the company, because if the company grows, then we're all better for it.
Right. I'm all for hiring more salespeople. I think eventually
we have to be smart about it. We can't bite off more than we can chew.
Well, that's the whole idea about pizza, is that
pizza and sales.
Pizza sales.
So what we really started talking about in the beginning here was our children and how we're grooming them. Alexander, Michael's son, is 11.
Yeah.
He's 11 years old.
It's crazy. And it flew.
And we anointed him.
Eric came out with the title.
Vice President of Food and Beverage. And basically he goes in and stocks all the vending machines.
On his days off.
On Saturday mornings.
And he takes it very seriously.
He has a spreadsheet. He has a profit and loss. And he gets a hit from whatever profit that we make on it. But listen, it just all goes right back into buying all the new snacks and stuff like that for everybody.
That's how I start. Oh, I used to go in with Dad, and I used to wash cars.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I used to wash cars. I used to shred paper.
I remember Dad gave me $5 once, and I thought that was amazing.
Yep.
I remember thinking, "Oh my God,
listen,
I got $5."
Back in the early days, the billing office was run out of our house, so we had a garage in Corona.
Our grandmother was the CFO, Carol Hornick.
And the garage was in Corona, Queens, and in Syosset, New York. We used to run out of the basement of my parents' house. So we had 8 or 9 people working in the basement, billing, answering phone calls, photocopying. So we were just so part of it. And if somebody needed help, or Michael was answering the phone to take a reservation, it was a really different time. And can
you imagine? I know, can you imagine still doing that today? Having all these people at Mom's house in the basement.
It was a blessing. It was really a blessing 100%. For us, because we're so ingrained in everything that we do here.
When you think about it, it was really a beautiful experience for everyone. And those people that were working in Mom's house are still here.
Yeah, a lot of them are. A lot of them are. They're right outside that door over there.
Yep.
So I wish we can give our kids that type of opportunity, but like
It's
everything else,
changed
you
now.
can't replicate what was done for you, and that's not fair to do. You
Well,
have
what
to go
hap-
with
What happened the last week of the summer? Where did the kids want to come every day?
work.
What'd they do? Did they sit and play on their iPads?
No. My daughter wanted to answer the phones. She wanted to play Hello BLS. She called she got an extension list, and she called every single person in the company, and she wanted to find out what they're doing. Because what I do is I talk to everybody every single day.
Yep.
And
you took that over the day Dad went into the hospital.
right.
Our father went into the hospital December 31st, 2017. January 1st came, 2018. Eric and I sat down at the desk. Dad wasn't here anymore. He was comatose, or he was intubated. And Eric said, "I'm taking over.
We have to make decisions.
We have to make decisions."
And I took that over, and that's my job. I talk to every single one of our managers
And Hallie,
every single day, multiple times a day.
And Hallie is clearly
She wants
that job.
She wants it.
You have no
She
idea how many
loves
times
kibitzing on the phone.
You have no idea how many times Alex says to me, "When am I coming to the Palm? Can I come to the Palm for this dinner?"
Right.
No, Alex, not yet, kid.
Just the Palm's our go-to place when we take clients out, because it's available in every city, because you know what you're going to get.
3-pound female lobster with extra roe all day.
Ribeye, surf and turf.
Yeah.
And they have slab bacon.
Oh my God.
It's good stuff.
I got a headache the last time I had that. I think there was in the Atlanta one. There was like sugar on it or something. It was good though. We could
be worse.
We should do a food podcast. We should definitely do a food podcast. People will freak out the way we eat. They're probably like, "Oh, your cholesterol." So
we're not going to get into that now.
Not now. I mean, we can, but
Down the road.
yeah.
So, Zachary, my son, obsessed with the shredder. He's 5 years old. Comes in.
That's a rite of passage here, though.
Yeah, every kid does that. And what does Kayla do here?
Kayla, my mom, our mom. People should know that by now. When I say my mom, I mean our mom. She has a book business, and we have an office dedicated just to her books.
Right. She wrote 50 children's books.
More now. I think it's 57.
And her pen name is Carol P. Roman.
And now it's Britt London. She's now writing like small romance novels.
She has like an anthology, and that's under Carol P. Roman. Look it up on Amazon.
That's her. That's not at nighttime when everyone.
But
goes to sleep.
she's always doing mailings. She has a lot of work to do with that, and Caleb will come in and
Alex will come in and do the vending machines, and he'll take it very seriously. Caleb will come in and she will help organize the books, and she'll do the mailings, like Eric said. But they're serious about it, and they're having fun with it.
Yeah.
They don't think of it as work. They think of it as
But now that like when we eat dinner at night, 6 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night at our house, I make it a point to tell them what's going on at work, what I'm doing, what's involved, what we're working on. And they ask, and Hallie will always say, "What happened with that, Dad?"
Same. So Alex started doing that about a year ago, where all of a sudden he took a huge interest in saying, "Dad, how'd that meeting go? How'd that conference call go today?" Even when he's playing video games.
Right.
He's so enthralled in the video game.
Listen, the reason why I'm pushing the business so much is because I know the writing on the wall. I wasn't great in school. I wasn't very studious. I could never quite figure out how to study. My wife was the same way. That's probably why we found each other. And I see the writing on the wall with my kids. I'm not expecting them to be scholars. I'm not expecting them to be lawyers. I can't necessarily give them an amazing education like our uncle, who's the CFO of the company, gave his son an amazing education, and he became a high-powered attorney, and he's rocking it, and the kid's going to make
mega bucks.
He's going to make mega bucks.
Right.
And that's amazing, and that's an awesome career path. But I couldn't necessarily give that to my kids. What I can give to my kids is a business, and I can teach them street smarts, how to sell, how to make the proper decisions,
how to communicate with people. And what happened with Hallie, that Hallie was born with a certain learning disability.
She's learning. My daughter's learning disabled, and she has what's called she's globally apraxic. And what that means is there's a disconnect between her brain and her mouth and her gross motor movements and her fine motor movements. And she's fine. She's not autistic, but there's it's hard for her to learn things. I was learning disabled too. I was in resource room. I had trouble learning. I just couldn't quite grasp concepts. And
there's still times that you can't. that I see that still populates, but there are things. There's a
Yeah, but everyone's learning disabled a little bit.
no, I agree with that. But there's sometimes you'll talk to you and but like I do that too.
Of course.
And I wasn't labeled as learning disabled.
Exactly. Getting back to Hallie, she, like the things that you take for granted, raising a child, crawling, walking, talking,
She couldn't do it.
It had to be pulled out of her.
Yeah.
And that was my wife and I got our asses kicked. If we would have had our son first, we would have been the cockiest parents in the world because our son, typical little guy, he's a terrorist,
But on top of that,
he's delicious. But Hallie, she was a humbling experience, and we had to
coupled with the allergies.
Yeah, dig down deep. Both my children are allergic to dairy, eggs, peanuts, tree nuts, seeds, mustard, soy, corn, the whole 9 yards. They're allergic to a lot of different foods. So allergies, learning disabilities, and it was hardcore.
It really was.
It was
and
really hardcore.
To see you and Jen, you got the two of you though. You and Jen came out so much stronger and so much more determined to make it a comfortable experience for Hallie, but make her not feel like a freak. Make her not feel that she's different from other people.
No, she listen. She walks into school, and
like she owns it.
She's in a special class because it takes her longer to learn things.
She's the only 9-year-old.
She knows everybody in that school, and everybody knows her.
Yep.
So it's not about what you know; it's about who you know, and it's about your personality.
100%.
And from day one, our kids, but they're 9 to 5. They both have cell phones, and we encourage them to make phone calls, to call each other, to. What
do the 4 kids do? I have 2 kids.
They play
every night.
Every night they go on and they play Roblox together on their phones, and I think it's wonderful because it's a bonding experience.
100%.
And they can stay connected even though they're not in the same house together, because ultimately, it's the 4 of them that are going to be taking over from us.
100%.
And I was talking to my wife, Jen, about this the other day. She's like, when do you think that you're going to retire? And I'm like,
retire?
What are you well, she's like, no, not retire. She's like, when are you going to give more responsibility to the kids? I'm like, it just happens over time.
It's going to happen
and then
naturally.
you'll know when it's ready. But, she's like, are you ever going to let them go on sales meetings without you? And I'm like, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Probably we're all going to be. Because,
that's not true. But that's not true because hold on. So we have a meeting next week in the city, right? We're going to the city next week.
I'm talking about the big trips. I'm talking.
Of course, they're going to come with us.
Exactly. No. Of course, we're going to go with them. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think that they will never go to LA alone without us.
That they won't ever.
They're not going to go to LA without us.
Yeah,
I can't see it happening.
I don't see it happening either.
I really
just because there's so much at stake, and there's so much legacy, and there's so much relationships. It's going to take a lifetime to pass on.
100%.
It's going to take a lifetime for them to know.
Yeah, the same thing with.
But that's fine. But you know what? Listen, it's fun. I don't want to say it's not tiring. Traveling and doing all that stuff. It's exhausting.
We went away this week. We were gone for a day. We had a presentation in a company.
That's why my throat hurts.
Yeah. And I honestly don't know how our clients do it. I'm a wimp when it comes to traveling, right? Like,
well, Michael does not like flying.
Does not like is a very big understatement. Big understatement. It's an understatement.
He's terrified of flying.
I'm not terrified.
Yes, you are.
It's not terrifying.
So then tell me.
There's a few things. So I'm not scared of heights, right? I'm not scared of heights. I'm not scared of tight spaces. I'm not claustrophobic. But I figured, because I went through a course, I did an online course for fear of flying. And what I found out is I'm not scared of heights, which is a natural human fear. Mm-hmm. I'm not scared of claustrophobia, which I believe is also another natural human fear. I think everyone's born with that. What I'm scared of is losing control. And the idea of being in a plane, being in a tin can with 2 people I've never met, and I don't know their skill level. I don't know where, and they're going to take me 35,000 feet in the air. There's something not.
And what I tell him is, I don't know if anyone really likes flying. I mean, I don't necessarily like flying.
Sharon's cousin,
but
has his own plane, like his own little 4-seater plane that he flies with his family. I sit and I track him on Flight Track 24 to see, like, oh, where'd he go now?
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, I don't like flying, but you got to do it.
I despise flying. The idea of flying freaks me out.
Just
the turbulence.
put on my headphones, get my iPad, and I watch movies. And that's it.
I have to see where I'm going. I track the flight the entire way. I'm nuts like that.
Honestly, sitting next to him on the plane,
it's horrible.
I start getting the jitters.
Yeah, I freak out.
I start getting the jitters. So
yeah, my energy on an airplane is not good. It's not healthy. However, I've gotten much better. I used to have to hold on to someone.
The frequency that we're flying at least once a month,
and it sucks. And you know what I don't like? It absolutely sucks.
Yeah, like on the way to the airport, he's impossible. Like we're trying to talk, we're trying to game plan.
I'm not that impossible.
You're impossible, and he's just sitting there, and he's just
I'm in
simmering.
A bad mood.
He's in a bad mood, and then once we land, then he's ready to go. Then he's ready to talk.
Yes. Well, I have to. You know, Sharon says the same thing. She's like, the night before you fly, she's like, I don't want to talk to you.
Exactly.
I'm a fucking train wreck before I fly. Yeah. I can't function. I feel like this is the last time that my feet are going to be touching the ground. I don't know why. I'll bet you in my past life I must have died in a plane crash because I can't. And I have it under control now more than I've ever done. Yeah. I used to have to hold on to mom when I was like, between 6 and like 13. I used to have to hold on to someone's arm when we were taking off.
It's a very real fear. You can't discount someone's fears.
Thanks.
No, you can't.
No, I agree.
Because to me it sounds silly, and I'm sure to a lot of listeners it sounds silly. But 100%. Then also to the other half of them, they probably say, "I get it." And I'm absolutely terrified of flying.
I've flown alone. I've sat alone on airplanes. But it's still the build up to it is such a terrible. We've flown private. We've flown. Our new favorite thing is JetBlue Mint.
JetBlue Mint.
Big plug to JetBlue Mint. They're not paying us a penny to do this.
No, we pay them as a matter of fact.
We pay JetBlue. If I can fly on JetBlue Mint for the rest of my life, I'm a happy guy. Yeah. We're all in on Mint. It's still uncomfortable. I have to know where the turbulence is going to be.
He has an apps that tell him, and whenever we're boarding the plane, he always manages to find the pilots and talk to them.
And I'm in the fucking travel industry, right? I had to come back to this life, and I had to say, I'm going to be in the travel industry to fly.
And we're going to be on a plane
and we're going to have
twice a month.
We're going in a couple weeks to LA. Then I'm going with my kids. We're going to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween in Orlando. And then we're going to Atlanta. And then we're going to Chicago. We have trips for the next 2 months. That's just 2 months.
Not a good business for a guy who doesn't like flying.
Right. And if there's any chance that I could drive anywhere, I will. Because
that's why he drove to DC.
Yeah. My wife wanted to fly. The kids wanted a road trip because they're going to play Roblox for 5 hours. Me, I was a happy puppy. I had my pork rinds. I was driving. It was wonderful. To know that I'd have to get to an airport to fly 45 minutes, I'd rather just drive. I don't care if it takes 5 hours to get there. You're cool, man. I wish this fear would go away. I really do.
You got to work on it. You got to meditate about it. You got to ask the universe. But, honestly, look at the way that you're talking.
Right. You're right.
You're absolute.
That's exactly right.
You're absolute about your fear of it.
100%.
And
however, I've gotten much better.
I understand, but you're not ready to embrace. You're holding on to that fear. You are.
Yeah.
You're not ready.
This became a therapy session.
Yeah, but you're not ready. You're not ready. You're not letting go of it.
No.
And that's what your problem is. You're not asking the universe to be not afraid of flying.
I've done it.
Because you're too afraid to not be afraid.
100%. That's very profound. That's the title of this podcast. You're too afraid.
I don't know what the title is this episode too, because we always go off on tangents.
That's fine.
But
what are you afraid of? What's your biggest fear?
That I'm not going to be around long enough to set my kids up.
Wow.
That's my biggest fear. I want to.
I think that's every parent, though.
Well, that's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is that I want to make sure that my kids are set up and that they have a head on their shoulders and that they're not going to have to worry.
Yeah.
And listen, everyone's going to have to worry. There's always issues, even if you have $1 billion company. You're not always 100% happy, or there's not always things there's always things that you have to worry about. But my biggest fear is I want my kids taken care of, and I want them to have the same mind that I have now. Like, I want them to make the proper decisions, and it feels so far away because they're so young, and there's such a long road to get them on their 2 feet. Like, I want them married, I want them with kids. I want them.
She's 9 and he's 5.
I know. But this is, you want to hear what keeps me up at night? That fear of flying, I don't care. This is what keeps me up at night. I want my kids to just have a good life, and I want to be around for as long as possible to make sure that happens.
What are you doing?
Why do I come? Why do I work? That's it. That's it.
Same thing. I
Yeah.
couldn't. I don't stay up at night over that, but I want to be around.
I think about it a lot. I think about it a lot.
I want to be around long enough to set my kids up where I don't have to worry if they're, they're going to be struggling.
Especially because my daughter is behind the 8 ball and she is catching up now and she's doing tremendous. She's doing amazing and it's amazing progress. But that's what drives me to get on that flight and leave them. That's what drives me to
100%
to do what we do, to sit on the phone for 14 hours a day. Literally all day long.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, the phone, putting ourselves out there. This podcast, even though I'm not doing the editing or anything like that, you still have to hire them. You have to do the copy edit. There's so much involved just with this little portion of what we're doing. And then on top of that, we're having the busiest week of our lives right now at BLS.
And it's being handled perfectly by this wonderful staff.
Our staff.
We can't praise them enough. We can't. They're unbelievable.
I absolutely love them. And when we say that we are family, we are. Yes. And we treat, I don't even want to say employees, but we treat the people that we work with like family, because it's the feeling that we get. It's what I want. I want
a work family,
one big happy family of customers and of teammates,
and family fights too.
Of course, there's always issues.
Normal, and there's disagreements.
Yeah,
but in the end,
and there's fallouts, and people move on, and that's fine. Ultimately, I want everybody to be happy. But teamwork and the overall well-being of this company that's what keeps me up at night. Right.
No, this was a really great podcast.
Yeah.
This was really great.
How long did we go for?
I have no idea. I don't really care. This is not a numbers game to me.
Yeah.
I love sitting and talking to you.
I can't.
I don't think if Anthony was here, he would have gotten it for us.
Yeah. Hold on, let me see here.
I think we should sign off, though.
Yeah, I think that was amazing. Listen,
thank you all for. I just want to first thank the first 88 people, and I know there's 4 of them was mine. Right, I watched it. My son watched it. My daughter watched it.
I want to shout out,
and my wife watched it.
All the people that watched it and messaged me on LinkedIn and text messaged me and called me on the phone. Thank you guys. We're gonna sign off. This is. Let's look at that camera there. This is
Okon Bros podcast numero dos.
I'm Eric. That's Michael, and we really appreciate you guys tuning in.
Thank you guys. This was fun.
Bye-bye.